지난 영상에서 마크 피터슨 교수의 미국인들이 한국에 대해 꼭 알아야 할 10가지에 대한 내용 일부를 보셨는데요. 자세한 내용은 오른쪽 위 링크를 참조하시면 되겠습니다. 오늘은 이어서 2부 영상 보겠습니다.
Number 7, Korea has the best alphabet in the world. Now how can you say that? It's the only alphabet in the world that has all 5 of these criteria. It's celebrated in a national holiday. If you're a Korean, you're celebrating the National Alphabet Day. October 9th. Isn't that great? They have an Alphabet Day. It's a national holiday for the alphabet. Because, number 2, it was proclaimed on a certain day that we know in history, October 9th, 1446. It was developed by an individual that we know, King Sejong. How many alphabets were invented by someone that we know? Letters were created as a visual depiction of the linguistic fact of creating that sound. The K, the first letter in the alphabet, is a picture of how your tongue is looped to make the velar stop that is a K. All the sounds are based on the picture of how the sound is made. I can teach you, if you're halfway linguistically sharp, how to read Korean in about an hour's time. King Sejong had advisors that helped him with the alphabet. He had a lot of people that objected to the alphabet, believe it or not. But he had a lot of people that helped him with the alphabet. One of them was a guy by the name of Chung In-ji. And Chung In-ji said, we've got this great alphabet we've invented now. And the dullest of people can learn it in a day. Number 5, and it's an alphabet that's used by 70 million people. Our stat just said 76 million, 75 million. Here's the K sound, and here's the N sound, and all the rest of it's the same way. Number 8, Korean literature. Korea has world-class literature. Korean literature is wonderful. There are tremendous stories, tremendous poetry. Do any of you know what haiku is? Yeah, you all know what haiku is. 20 years ago, when I used to talk about haiku, I found that the kids in America studied haiku in high school. And then I found out they studied it in junior high school. They're teaching haiku now in the 3rd and 4th grade. Koreans don't know what haiku is because there's an avoidance of Japanese culture in Korea. Haiku is a 3-line poem, and it's very similar to a Korean poem called shijo. Shijo is a 3-line poem, is a little bit more expansive than haiku, and it's the next step. It's the next step. Once an American student learns haiku, they ought to learn the next East Asian poetic form of shijo. Now, I'd like you to join the movement. We need a movement of shijo in Korea like we've had haiku. Here's my favorite shijo. This was written by a man who, in 1392, was asked to join a new coup, to take over the government and to start a new dynasty. They did that. The dynasty was successful. This man could not join them. And you're loyal to the king. And all these other people jumped on board with this general that became the new king. But this man, Chung Won-ju, could not join the coup. And when invited to join the coup, he said, though I die again, though I die 100 deaths, after my bones have turned to dust, whether my soul exists or not, my red heart, forever loyal to my king, will never fade away. That is a great poem, is it not? 이몸이 죽고 백골이 진도되어 녹시라도 있고 님 향한 일편단심이 아가실 줄 있으며. I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose because I like shijo. You get the message? Pop culture. I've got a theory. David, you're the political scientist. Tell me what you think about this. But North Korea has been isolated, loyal communists, bankrupt. Their socialist economic system is failed. It isn't working. Because these North Koreans see these videos of these cute Korean girls, and that's just way too cool, you know. And I think that's more attractive than economy, because it contains economy, and yet it captures this spirit of a person, of people that's beyond economics. I just wonder if North Korea won't fall because of South Korean power. I mean, that sounds silly, doesn't it? I admit that sounds silly, but I'm serious. I think it might really have a huge impact on North Korea. And finally, the political area, World War II ends. So the Allied powers look at Germany and say, you caused this war, we're going to partition Germany. And Germany is divided up into 4 parts. Germany perpetrated the war, they get punished by being divided after the war. In the Pacific area, who perpetrated the war? Japan. So who are we going to petition? Who are we going to partition? Japan? They perpetrated the war. Germany, Japan. What do? We partition Korea. Japan's first victim of the war is re-victimized after the war. Now tell me where that makes any sense. MacArthur wanted to preserve his Japan. He wanted to recreate Japan. So he partitions Korea. And Korea is victimized again. And it just doesn't make any sense at all. This temporary partition has lasted 60 years. And so Korea feels victimized, and rightly so. And it's still partitioned.